So in this video we are going to discuss about types of chemical bonds, or more precisely about the ionic bond. So let's start. In previous video we understand about why do atoms form bond, and where the answer come that bonded arrangement have lower potential due to which it is more stable. That's why atoms prefer to form bonds. And there we discuss about Lewis octet rule, that the valence shell should have 8 electrons for their stability. So now for achieving that stability, or for having the 8 electrons in their valence shell, there are ways for which atom can get that. So now for that purpose, for making a valence shell having 8 electrons, atoms have different ways to get that 8 electrons. For that different ways we have 3 types of chemical bond. First one is ionic bond, second one is covalent bond, and third one is coordinate or dative bond. In this video we will primarily focus on ionic bond, which is also known as electrovalent bond, and in our next video we will discuss about covalent and coordinate bond together. So let's start. Ionic bond, also known as electrovalent bond. Now what is ionic bond? Ionic bond is a bond in which a complete transfer of electron takes place, or we can say that the transfer of electron from one atom to another atom is what with which ionic bond forms. Now this transfer of electron usually occurs from an electropositive element to electronegative element. Now what is electropositive and what is electronegative element? Electropositive elements are those elements which can easily lose their electrons for completing their octet in their valence shell, or we can say for having the 8 electrons in their valence shell. These elements are known as electropositive elements, and electronegative elements are those elements which can easily gain the electron for completing their valence shell with 8 electrons. So now from electropositive to electronegative element, a transfer of electron takes place, and after that ions form, and by these ions a force of attraction between the opposite charges occurs and a bond form, and that bond is known as ionic bond. And one more thing, that the positive charge, a atom when they loses the electron, a positive charge come, and whenever this positive charge come, a ion form, and that ion is known as cation. Atoms after losing electron become ion, and that ion when they lose their electrons known as cation. And similarly, after gaining electrons, a ion have negative charge on it, and they are known as anion. Now let's take an example which is here, that is NaCl, that is sodium chloride. Now let us write the atoms which is available in this compound, that is sodium and chlorine, which have atomic number 11 and 17 respectively, and their electronic configuration are shown as. Now as we see that, we know that sodium can easily remove their 1 electron, so that they have 8 electrons in their valence shell, which is already available. So sodium do that. Sodium lose their 1 electron for forming Na+, and this 1 electron goes to chlorine, which needs that 1 electron for completing their valence shell, because losing 7 electron doesn't make sense. It required much energy, but gaining 1 electron will have required less energy, so it gains that electron and carry a charge on it by -1, and this is known as anion because it have negative charge, and it is known as cation because it have Na+, or the positive ion is cation. Now as they both become ion and become stable by their valence shell, have 8 electrons, as they were moving apart, a force of attraction feels between them because they are opposite charges, and this force of attraction leads to form a bond which is known as ionic bond. And when this force of attraction is there, we discussed in previous that there is an energy releases, and that energy we describe it as bond energy. But when an ionic bond, the energy released, that particular energy is known as lattice energy. It is the energy which is released during the ionic bond. And after that, this compound formed due to the ionic bond. The compound is known as ionic compound. I hope you get that point, that in ionic bond a complete transfer of electron takes place, which is usually from an electropositive element to an electronegative element. Now let's discuss about what are the factors which influence to form the ionic bond, or for forming the ionic compound, what are the factors which influence it. So now discuss the factors which influence the formation of ionic bond. So the first difference, which is that the electronegativity difference, that the greater the electronegativity difference is there, the higher will be the possibility of formation of ionic bond. What does it mean? Electronegativity is the desire of the element to attract the electrons toward itself. So if a element is there who is more electronegative, that means there are two elements. If one element is more electronegative than another element, then the more electronegative element will try to get the electron of the another element. So when they took that when that atom, more electronegativity atom, takes that electron from it, then the ions form and then the ionic bond form. So if that electronegativity difference is much, then the possibility of formation of ionic bond will be higher, and that's what is described. And the definition, if you want, then the electronegativity is the tendency of an element to attract the shared pair of electron within a chemical bond, or we can say it is the tendency or the desire of an atom to attract the electron. For this definition is written because of covalent bond, or we can say that this definition is accurate, like this is accurate, and the one which I said is easier to understand. So I will merely focus that these both are equally same, I can say, but this one is more towards covalent bond. So right now try to understand it by the attraction of electron rather than the shared pair of electron. But yeah, it is actually shared pair of electron, not the attraction, just the attraction of that. If that difference is more, then the higher possibility will be there. Remember this, because if two atoms are there, one is more electronegative, then it will try to attract the electron of the one which is less electronegativity and form the ions, then bonds, then the energy will release and bond will form and then compound. Second point which comes is low ionization energy of the element facilitate the formation of cation. What does it mean? Firstly, ionization energy is the minimum energy required to lose the electron from an atom. If the ionization energy is itself a minimum energy which is required to lose the electron, then if it is low, that means atom wants to lose that electron. That's why the energy which is required is less, and if that is less, then the formation of cation will be faster. Like, it is simple, because ionization energy itself is minimum energy. Then if it is low, then the cation will form fastly or as soon as possible, because atom itself don't want that electron, because it is not the one electron which is having to fulfill that octet rule. Similar, the point comes that is high electron affinity of the element facilitates the formation of an ion. This is similar like above one, ionization energy. Firstly, what is electron affinity? It is the change of energy which is while gaining the electron to form an ion from neutral atom. If this energy is higher, that means if the high energy is required to gain the electron, then, or we can say high and change of energy, high change of energy of an atom, then the high electron affinity will be there, and the formation of ion will be as soon as possible. Like, I hope you get that. If it is confusing, just remember it or understand it by this, that electron affinity is the change of energy. If that change is high, then the formation of an ion will be faster. And the next thing, and we can change it, like low ionization energy of atom will be much perfect rather than element. Element considered like the periodic tables one element, so you can consider it with the atom as well. I hope you element and atom don't confuse with that. Now the next thing, greater the magnitude of lattice energy. Lattice energy is the energy which is released during the formation of ionic bond, and if its magnitude is high, then the high force of attraction between them, between the atoms which is forming bond, and if it is more, then the stronger will be the bond will form. It is just like it is interconnected everything, so you will get that page easily. It is not that tough. Now in next video we will understand about covalent bond briefly, so that you can understand its each and every bond. We will discuss there about non-polar covalent bond, polar covalent bond, covalency, etc., and coordinate bond will be a little topic, so you will get, I will cover that in that topic. So I hope you enjoy that video. If it has helped you, it's good. Thank you.